Ready to explore distant worlds and reshape entire planets? Welcome to Astroneer, where we'll journey across a vast solar system in search of mysteries and adventure. We'll build bases, dig deep underground, and craft whatever we can imagine. Join me as I spend 100 days in Astroneer and explore the vast world that awaits us. So let's begin this adventure. Alright, so on day 1, we took off from our space station and landed on a planet called Silva, which is relatively safe upon checking my surrounding. First off, I interacted with my mission console or mission log right here and obtained a bunch of items after clicking the reward. First, it gave me a small printer, which I can use to craft other structures. Also, an oxygenator to supply me with oxygen, which I can attach to my shelter. So, in order for things to work in this game, of course, we would need electricity, right? So, I attached my printer to my shelter, which produces some electricity. And with this, I got some reward again from a quest, which gave me a tether. And what a tether does is it basically connects, like, let's say if I go exploring like this, and if I had a tether, it would make a line for me to basically breathe and recharge my battery as well. Honestly, this game had a lot to figure out, and my small brain could not really manage that much, but I still did my best. We have our mission log to follow anyways, so at the very least, we have a starting point. I received myself this thing called a small canister, and what it does, it collects soil that we, let's say we mine underground. It collects the soil that we destroyed or sucked with our vacuum thingy. Alright, so while exploring, I found these circular looking things. These things are called compound. It's a natural resource of this planet or any other planet at that. Anyways, I started collecting all that I could see because I would need this in order to craft a bunch of stuff later. And upon returning to base, I have finished a mission. Oh, I received 500 bytes. Bytes are the currency in the game, and you can use it to research other recipes. Adventuring some more, I found this thing called a leisurely cauldrangia. What it basically does is it produces biofuels as long as you feed it the right materials. Anyways, my goal right now will be to collect even more materials so we can start making some stuff in our base. And so with tether on hand, I searched the land for a resource called resin. It's something that I need in order to craft stuff like a platform, another printer, and other stuff. And honestly, it took me a while before I found some resins. So these yellow spiky looking things, not really spiky, but maybe, I don't know, not pointy as well. But anyways, these are the resins. And I found some. Let's go. So once I collected like 4 as my quest asked me to do, it's time to head home because I was running out of oxygen. I can't really run around that far without any tethers because if I have no oxygen, I would die. So it's a race against time, and this is the point where I discovered I can actually run by holding down shift. So wow, faster movement. Let's go. Anyways, the reward we got for collecting some resin was a storage and some medium platforms. So most of the items that you make through a printer or rewards come in inside a box like this, but you can easily take them out by holding F, which would be to unpack it. And the item immediately appears before your very face, as you can see right here. So for the storage, it's going to be very useful. As you can see, my bag is already full of items and I really need a storage. So I laid it down, unpack it, and place all the items inside. And using my small printer, I made myself the medium printer so we can craft even bigger structures that a small printer cannot. And with the medium printer, I crafted myself the large printer. I then ventured out in the field and collected even more resource. I felt like I needed a lot, like a whole lot of resource before I can actually progress in this game. Also, my storage slots deplete really fast because the other one I already got for free is already full. So I crafted a new one. I then received a reward from a mission log for making a medium printer, and I got myself a large platform. There were a bunch of new quests I need to do, and yeah, it's very hard to figure things out, but because of these missions, it makes my life easier just following them, I guess. So one of my mission required me to craft a research chamber, and what it does is it basically research stuff and it gives us bytes in return. So that's a pretty cool thing. And then scrolling through my research catalog, I needed to get something called a drill mod and a boost mod. And oh my god, the price on these things, they're very expensive. Also, I have no idea how to get zinc, so yeah, I just unlocked it for now. Anyways, I continued destroying the planet by getting all the natural resources it had. I then went home and placed a compound inside a research chamber. So what compound basically does is it would give me 50 bytes, and that's not a lot. I just wanted to try the research chamber and how it works. Alright, it needed electricity to work, so I had to remove my large printer. Don't worry though, I'll be crafting another large platform for my printer. So the rewards I got for completing that research chamber mission, I got myself 2 beacons and 250 bytes. And what the beacon does, as the name implies, it's a beacon. It basically marks the map wherever you place it. But I don't really need it right now, so I'll be placing it inside my storage. I then decided it was time to head out and look for some resins because I really need these things to make some platforms and other stuff. I'm surrounded with compound, but not so much with resin, so I had a hard time looking for resins. You can see my base is very far. I'm not even sure if I can make it. Hopefully I can, or I'll die. The little blue bar you see on my backpack is my oxygen bar, and as you can see, it's running out. And look, I found a giant rock I can use to place in my research chamber, but for now my life is in danger and I have to rush home before I suffocate out of oxygen. Luckily though, I managed to get back home alive. I then made some tethers and headed towards the area where I got a lot of resins because I need to farm some more. Also, after I reached the area and had my backpack full, I grabbed the rock and returned home with it. And upon inserting the rock on my research chamber, it seems it was worth for 50 gold. And I'll receive the full amount in 11 minutes. Let's go. So I'll need to look for more rocks. It's a great money source. And I'm poor. I then saw a broken jeep from afar. And it seems what I can do with this is I could get the parts that are broken and scrap them in a metal scrapper so I can get scrap and then make myself a trade platform so I can trade the scrap for resources. But looking at it again, it seems like the fan is still working, so I'll be grabbing it for myself. We now have something that will help us produce some energy, and it's called a small wind turbine. Let's go. I also dragged all the broken pieces towards my base. Maybe it will be useful in the future once we have a metal scrapper. So I'll just stockpile them here for now. I then decided to make even more research chamber as one took very long to research one thing and I really need a lot of money, so yeah, research chamber. And while roaming around collecting some resource, I found an underground tunnel towards a cave, so I plan to visit this again once I return home and for all the loots I've got so far. And the tethers really help a lot in guiding me back to where I left. At this point of the game, I was hoping to find like a better storage system because as you can see here, this is very hard to see and it's really hard to manage all my resources. I then crafted myself a small generator as one turbine could not power my entire base and also my shelter electricity wasn't enough as well. And by doing this, I have completed a quest which rewarded me with a small battery. This thing can store about 30 units of power that would be produced by my wind turbine or generator, which will then be used by all the machines I have in my base. And with the newly found generator, I can now power these pods that I see randomly from places and I can open them. And upon opening one of them, I can hold F and scan them and I got myself about 400 bytes. That's a lot of money. My journey then led me to this abandoned, I'm not sure, is this a thruster of a giant ship or something? Also, I found a lot of these G Silva shells and they gave about 40 to 50 bytes every time I scanned them. Also inside these thrusters, I guess, or is this a shuttle? I'm not really sure. But anyways, there's also a lot of other research samples I found just lying around. Anyways, these thrusters or maybe pods have items inside them. I got a resource I haven't found yet, like this ammonium right here. I also found this thing called a solid fuel jump jet, which gives like 50 boost. I of course equipped it on my backpack and look at me fly. Oh my god, this is gonna be fun now that I have like a jetpack. But there's a limit to the amount of height I can fly with this thing. I should definitely make sure I use it properly or else I'll die from fall damage. I also found myself a free dynamite from that place. After turning all my items in, I continued exploring the forest because there were so many stuff here I can scan that gave me money. Also, the quest that I finished gave me even more tethers. That means I can explore more. I then found another car and I got myself another free battery. And per usual, I gathered all the scraps that I've collected so far and just placed them somewhere in my base. Next, I crafted myself a smelting furnace. I can finally convert all the ores that I've found so far, which I don't have any right now, into bars. So now that we have a furnace, it was time to explore the caves and see what we can get from down here. I then found this weird plant called a pop coral. So I tried using my terraformer to gather it, but she don't seem to do anything against it. So I just left the scene and explored the cave some more. Maybe we can find some ores here. Upon diving deeper in the cave, I found a lot of spalerites. So these things, once converted to bars, will turn into zinc. Also, I made a mistake of continuing my adventure even though I didn't have any tethers to give me oxygen. I totally lost my way where I am inside these caves and I had no hope of escaping. I think I'll just, meet my end here. So I lost everything I got on that adventure. I lost my freaking jetpack. I'm so sad. Anyways, I decided to dig a hole down near my base. So even if I died, I can easily get my items back. The other one was pretty far away and I have no way of locating where my body was because I didn't have any tethers where I died. So yeah, I'll just dig down from my base and hope that I can find something down here. I made sure it was diagonal so I can go up and down anytime I want. Anyways, I was very happy to find out there were a lot of spheralites here as well. So I can still make the zinc that I needed in order to make I believe batteries, wind turbines, or other stuff. Anyways, I did not expect to fall down here and I had no way of going up. And so, here we go again. I did struggle though. I tried digging up to see if I can reach the top before I died. It was pretty impossible for me to dig up, so I just decided to go to the place where I fell down and died on the spot so I can recover my items when I respawn. But since I didn't really have a lot of items going for me there, I just decided to go to the forest and continued scanning for more bites. I then discovered this thing called the exocache, and it says it can only be opened with explosives, and good thing I had a dynamite, so I tried returning home to grab my dynamite. I then placed the dynamite on the box, and I then hold F and ran away from the spot. I should have blew it up in a distance or something. Anyways, I didn't die, and I got a bunch of exo chips from destroying the exocache. After that was done, I continued on with my life into grabbing even more bites from the forest. And after gathering about 2,000 bites, I can finally afford an oxygen tank. So now we can craft something that will extend our oxygen levels so we don't feel like we're dying anytime soon if ever there's not a tether around us. I found another exocache, but I didn't have any more dynamite, so I can't really do anything against this. I then continued expanding my tunnels into the cave because I've been wanting those ores because a lot of the other stations I want to make required those ores. And after reaching the cave part of the tunnel, it was finally time to see what we can get down here. So we have a natural spiralite farm down here, also laterites. So with these blue looking ores, the laterite, we can make aluminum. So I of course gathered everything that I can see and will smelt them later once I get to the top. So how the furnace works, you just place the ore, plug it in, and it will smelt it for you. The only problem is it will stop working once it processes one ore. So we'll be needing some kind of automation in the future so we can automate this process. Instead of me, myself, taking all the finished goods, it would be a machine. Also, I finally discovered that I could zoom out. I've been playing zoomed in most of the time. Anyways, I continued exploring the cave for more of these laterite. Not even sure if I need a lot, but I just decided to collect everything I can find down here. There are also a bunch of spalarites. I think I hit a gold mine because there's a bunch of ores down here. Anyways, after I completed one of my quests, I got a certain item with no name on it, and it looked really strange. Being named a strange object. Covering my mouse, it gives like a ray of something like a ship. So I placed down the strange object and activated it, and it turned into a broken xenobiology lab. I'm not even sure if it's functional, but I assume it is because it's one of the quest items, so I guess it's one of my mission to complete. Diving deeper into the cave, I found quartz. And I really needed this because quartz, when smelted in the furnace, turns into glass. And with glass, we can finally make the oxygen tank we've been wanting. The future oxygen tank, we have more time to explore without a tether. I realized that items don't really disappear. So I decided to just place them on the ground. I got tired of making even more storage. So I think their ground is fine as long as they stay in place. Also, now that I have glass, I made myself 2 pieces of oxygen tank. With this, my survivability should rise. But with 2 oxygen tanks, I basically take up 2 extra space on my bag, and that sucks. Then wanted to try interacting with this giant plant, but I didn't know that the vine surrounding it was dangerous, and I died. It had to go, so I had to dig down until it disappeared. And I got my loots back safely. Anyways, I did not really understand how this thing works, so I just forgot about it. Anyways, I made 2 extra furnaces, so I have an easier time smelting all the ores I've gathered so far. In goes the ores, and the products will be down to the floor. I'll organize things once I get a better storage system, but for now, the ground works. I then activated the Snail laboratory, and I got a bunch of text logs which I didn't bother to read at all because too many texts, my brain cannot. I then dug up a hole where I gather all my items, so they will just go through the hole. I'm not sure if this is a good idea, but at the very least, they shouldn't be away from the hole. I then made even more research chamber. My plan right now was to go to the surrounding areas and find something to research for more money. Then ventured inside the caves again to collect even more ore. I just gathered whatever I can find, and right now we have quartz, and I will rinse and repeat this until I have so much glass that I don't even think about it anymore. Also, I tried testing out researching glass, and it seems they're worth 125 bytes. So I guess since I have a lot of extra quartz on hand, I will just research some glass. I then bought a recipe for a tractor. I was in need of some kind of a vehicle right now so I can explore the planet. So I thought this was a great idea. I then dug up a bunch of clay. I need this in order to make ceramic, which is needed by a lot of stations. Also here, this is what the tractor looks like. But in order for this to work, I need to charge it up. So that's a pain in the butt. Anyways, I was very curious if this thing would be very helpful, so I charged it up using a generator and an organic substance. I then crafted myself something called a soil centrifuge. And oh my god, this thing is one of the best things I've discovered in this game. Because with the soil centrifuge, you can easily make resins, compound organic, quartz, clay, ammonium, graphite with just some canister of soil. This thing is very helpful, especially if you don't want to keep looking for resins or compound. Anyways, once it has enough soil, you can pick the resource you want to make. For now, I needed some graphite to craft a certain station. And now with the graphite on hand, I can now make something called an auto arm. The auto arm will assist us on making the dream possible of automating the furnace. I totally did not understand how this worked. I needed to plug this to a platform because this thing needs electricity in order to work. But brain not braining, I just decided to go to the forest and scan more items for more money, as well as locate a bunch of stuff that I can research, like this giant thing right here. So let me just highlight the soil centrifuge again. Just look at the amazing selection you can make here. A lot of free resource just by mining some soil. After fully charging the tractor, I then took it out to try driving it. And as you can see, it's very fun to use. It's not that fast, but I'm very happy with the results of crafting this thing. Another thing about the tractor is that you can actually connect it with a trailer. It can have a maximum of like 3 trailers. So what we can do here is make a system where it charges itself, like a wind turbine, some batteries, or a solar panel. Also, we can attach some storage here so we can bring a lot of items for our adventure. So as you can see, this is the plan. I slapped in some storage system in the back of the tractor. And I made a second tractor. So for the second one is gonna be our electricity system. I slapped in 2 windmills and 2 batteries. Also added about 2 pieces of solar. I also added a beacon so it doesn't get lost. Also, since I didn't really know what else to add for the last one, I just decided to slap in a battery. I then went to the forest again and looked for large fruit-looking thingies to research so I can get some money. And with the third tractor installed, it was finally time to go on an adventure with our tractor. This is so convenient. The tractor provides us with oxygen so we'll never run out. And with our unlimited energy system, this thing will never run out of battery. And with the storage on its back, I basically have another extra storage slot. I can now just continue doing this until all my storage on my tractor gets full and I can return home afterwards. And since my tractor has energy as well, I can open these things up and scan like a bunch of these research materials that gives like a lot of money. I then discovered, I'm not really sure what this is, but anyways, it got a small battery and a strange cube. It was from an abandoned backpack that I just found on the ground. I'm not sure what it does, but the sky lighted up the moment I touch it. It's probably a key item to the main story or something. Anyways, I'll keep it for now, of course. It looks important. I continued exploring around with my tractor, hoping to see some wreckage so I can get like free stuff. But sadly, I couldn't find anything anymore, so I just returned home with a giant blue seed to research. I then gave it my very best to figure out how the freaking auto arm works, but I never really figured it out. It doesn't work for some reason. Spoiler alert, because I did not put it in a platform and it doesn't have electricity. Also, I tried interacting with the curious item. I did not really know how to make use of it. I tried putting it inside one of the open jars in the Snail lab. I still had no idea how this works. So yeah. Anyhow, I got this thing called an extended platform. And I got it from a reward on a quest. Anyways, it looks like this. And I believe I can use it with the auto arm. Also, I got this thing called a medium shredder. I can finally shred some of the metal items I've got so far in this adventure. Putting like a giant seat on the shredder, but I guess it's too big for it. I had some small scraps and that worked out. Also, I tried figuring out how the auto arm works, and finally, I realized it needed electricity all along for it to work. Green means take and blue means put it there, and as you can see, it works out well. Also, I had a quest using a certain terrarium where I inserted soil to it, some zinc, and some bounce vine seed. I then placed a small trumpet on top of it, and it suddenly played some music, and a cute little creature suddenly came out. So I approached the creature and started dancing in front of it. He was pretty picky of what actions I was taking, so it seems I need to perform a certain dance that it would like. So I tried my best to pick from all my emotes. So I tried the poultry polka and it sure loved it. I danced for it one more time until I eventually was able to capture it. So using the terrarium that I have, I befriended the friendly creature and he got teleported inside the terrarium. And it seems I can pat it inside, but it's so weird how I just captured this thing. It would have been happier if it was outside, right? But this is my mission and I need to capture it and put it in the Seno lab. So I placed him in the Seno lab and interacted with it. And what I saw is, I'm not sure what's happening to this creature, but I think some of its DNA is being sucked or something. It says here it studies biological sample. Okay, so it's not really harming the creature, so I guess it's fine. I then unlock a recipe called a solid fuel thruster. I was thinking that this might be the jetpack that I've lost recently, but I was wrong. It seems like it's something you attach to a shuttle or something, and when you ignite it, the shuttle would fly, and I ignited it and it's gone. Goodbye. Oh my god, I'm so dumb. Alright, so I continued on scavenging more shells in the forest so I can get more bites. Also, with the tractor, it's easier for me to bring the research materials to the research chambers. I can basically carry 2 large resource materials in one go. Upon exploring the forest, I found yet another one of those thruster-looking thingy, but maybe it's a shuttle pod or something. And I got myself another jump jet. Let's go, we can fly again. I also looted a medium generator, but sadly, I have no idea how to make fuel for this thing, which is carbon. Searching some more, I found yet another one, and it was another jetpack. Now I had 2. Look at this. I can fly higher now. Oh my god. I also found a second generator. I'm not sure what to do with these, but well, it's nice to find some free stuff, right? With all the roaming around, just look at all my research chamber working. I then found a purple building looking place. I'm not really sure what it was, but it says gateway chamber. I'm not sure how to make this work, so it's just nice to see, I guess. Okay, so just look at the jetpack in action. It's so fun to play with this thing. Sadly, it can only do like 50 jumps, and I'm wasting it like this, but it's very fun. I enjoyed my use of this jetpack. I then found yet another wreck, and this wreck contained another jetpack. I'm so happy to keep getting some jetpacks because the jetpack is amazing. Also, this thing called the packager. And after finishing some quests, I was then rewarded with a QT-RTG. I'm not sure what it stands for, but I got this thing which generates like 1 unit of electricity without requiring any fuel or anything. It just generates electricity. This is such a powerful item. I can even bring it myself so it can charge my backpack. And on my adventures, I found a snow mountain, I believe. It looked like a snow mountain. I'm not even sure if it's snow, but yeah, we found the snow mountain. So of course, I'm gonna explore this place and see what I can get from here. So there were metals here called malachite. Anyways, malachite is used to make some copper. Also, there were a bunch of these thingies. If I scan them, I gain like 40 coins. So this was a good place to farm money as well. I, of course, did not forget to grab a bunch of huge rocks to use for research for money. And I placed them on my tractor. And I totally played with my jetpack too much that I died to fall damage. Good thing I had a beacon on my tractor, so now all I need to do was just run towards it with some tethers, because without tethers, I don't think I can reach the destination I use my tractor to go to. I'm just glad that I managed to retrieve all the items that I lost, because I really would not like it if I lost my jetpack. I then found a disco ball in the mountains. I'm not sure what this was for, but whenever I interact with it, it would teleport somewhere and I had to chase it down. So I chased it down as best as I could, but I had limited oxygen right now because I don't have any tethers that would help me breathe. Also, one of my jetpack expired and my last one did, so I have no more jetpack now. Can't fly anymore. This is so sad. I want more. Since I couldn't find the ball anymore, I just decided to collect all the rocks I could find in this place and take it home for researching. I had to do a couple of trips back and forth in order to get all the rocks because I can only take 2 at a time with my tractor, and oh my god, sometimes this happens where my tractor gets stuck, but thankfully I can just go back and try to fix this. But if not, then I can use my terrain or terraforming tool to, Tried to find a way to escape this place. Anyways, exploring the mountain, I found the ball again, and I kept trying to locate wherever the heck it spawned next. I was honestly expecting a reward from this, but the moment I interacted with it for the last time, I couldn't find wherever it is anymore, and I'm running out of oxygen. I need to go back to my tractor now. And look, I found it again. So I'm not really sure if I do get a reward from this. I think it's just a minigame where you keep interacting with it, but it doesn't really give anything. I'm not sure. Anyways, I found a malachite deposit, so I mined all of it, well, until my bag was full. After rewards, I returned home with 2 giant rocks and a bag filled of malachite. And so I decided it was finally time to do space travel, so I researched a small shuttle. I also organized my resource as it was hard to actually see what I had and what I didn't have. I then built myself a launch pad to prepare for space exploration. I then went to the mine again and gathered a bunch of materials. I would need 2 aluminum in order to make the small shuttle. That's why we're mining laterite right now, because these things make the aluminum. Also, I didn't know until now that you can actually change the type of thing you can do with your terraforming gun. So now I know that I can actually fill holes by changing the settings of my gun like this. I can change it so that I can use the soil that I've collected and level the floor. If only I knew from the start, I believe my base would have looked better than how it currently is, and also would have a better mining experience if I had this thing. I could have made a bridge instead of tried and find a way going down. It would have been way easier to just make a bridge. Well, now that I know, at the very least our future looks not that hard. Anyhow, with the aluminum I made so far, I now had my small shuttle. The only thing left now was attaching a thruster on its bottom. And so I was actually lacking ammonium, but thank God we have the soil centrifuge to make the ammonium for us. And with the ammonium and aluminum, I believe, I now made the thruster for our small shuttle. And before I left, I gathered a bunch of random gears that I might need in our adventure. Also, I made an oxygenator for our shuttle, so we have oxygen on the next planet we're gonna go to. Once all preparation was done, I launched myself to space to look for another planet containing the next materials we'll need to further progress our machineries. So since I had a planet just beside the current one I was at, I chose Desolo. So the only thing that I can find in Desolo would be something called a wolframite, which is then turned into tungsten once smelted, as well as there are ammonium in this place. I chose a waypoint where it was close to the gateway chamber. I'm not really sure how important this thing is, but it's always nice to have a point of interest near my base. I then placed down the field shelter that I got as a reward for making the shuttle and making the oxygenator. So now we have something or some place to rest, as well as a source of oxygen and 0.5 power. So my first mission would be to scout the surrounding area and see what we have in the surroundings. So first, we have this Desolo shell. It's part of our quest. I also noticed a lot of compound and resins in the surroundings, so I won't be lacking in any of these resources. I also found a graphite source just near my base, so that's pretty good to find. And so I started working on my base now that I have a couple of materials. So my very first goal would be to make the soul centrifuge so we can make stuff like compound and resin, so we don't need to keep exploring the planet for those materials. I decided to leave the solo for now and go back to Silva. I wanted to get a bunch of materials that I've gathered there to this new planet. So there are a lot of landing points in each planet, but good thing we have markers to see where our home base is. And now I gathered a bunch of stuff I would need at the other planet. I then made another landing pad, but I did not know that I can't bring this on my shuttle because it doesn't fit my backpack. It's too big for it. Also, upon getting in my shuttle, it seems I ran out of fuel and my thrusters was broken. So basically, I can only fly for a total of 4 times on the simple thruster. So I need to make each time it runs out. And once I made a new one, it was time to launch again to Desolo. And so with the materials I got from Silva, I made myself this soil centrifuge. And while exploring the place, I found an ammonium deposit. I was very happy to find this because using the soil centrifuge, it can only make one at a time. So I'm pretty glad to find a source of ammonium down here. Anyhow, I put all my time and energy right now in order to make this base self-sufficient as well as having enough stations to make all the things that I need. So for now, I installed some wind turbines. Hopefully, it will add on the electric power that this base can have. I don't really have any zinc to make batteries, so I might go back to Silva again and gather some zinc. Also, I started digging the ground to locate the cave and find some wolframite that we're looking for in this planet. So with this newly discovered feature where we can put cement or soil down the path, it made life easier in going down the cave. I also made sure this time that my base in the solo would be leveled compared to my base in Silva. But yes, you can see I'm having a trouble trying to level it. I should have started with leveling the ground from the start. Not like this now that I'm not even sure if which part is leveled. But anyways, as long as it's flat, right? Also, my gun had this thing where it can raise soil up. So if ever I fall down a cave, I can just rise myself up and still have a way to go home. Inside the caves, there were a lot of research samples and they were worth a lot. 80 or more bytes per scan, and that's amazing. I can get rich here. I then found the ores that I've been looking for, the wolframite. So I did my best to extract everything I can find here. Also, while trying to go home, I totally did not know that these dang mushrooms would kill me. So I came back for revenge and dug them out from the ground and grabbed my loot afterwards. Also, now that we have tungsten from the wolframite, we can now make something called a chemistry lab. And what it does is you can now craft something like the aluminum alloy, the nanocarbon alloy, plastic, rubber, you name it, the chemistry lab has it. So yeah, I'm slowly understanding how this game works. And the more I play, the more I know. So we're progressing on all the stations we have so far. So once we have the chemistry lab, for sure we can make some new stuff. The chemistry lab has so many resources that I can make. And there's just so much to take in. So right now my main focus was to make some plastic so I can make a better storage. And while my brain was overloaded with the information of the new chemistry lab, I decided to head to the underground and gathered a bunch more wolframite. I then continued exploring in the cave, hoping I can find something new and rare. Well, I never really found anything because this planet only had like the wolframite, something new I haven't seen before. I did found an exo cache though, but I don't have any dynamite right now. So I'll just remember in my brain that there's an exo cache here. And while roaming around, I did find a bunch of laterite and I was needing aluminum. So I gathered everything that I can gather here before going home. I also got this vehicle called a buggy because I had that generator that makes like 1 energy. So this thing had unlimited energy with just one thing. And this thing was pretty fast. Look at how fast this thing goes. Well, faster than the tractor, but I can't really attach anything to this, sadly. It does say that the buggy is for scouting, so okay. Anyways, I just explored around the planet to see what I can find here. I scanned a bunch of shells and got some money out of it though. So I found a lot of these triangle thingies which opens up and have something to scan inside, which gives about 400 or more bytes. Anyhow, I continued working on my base, but electricity was proving to be a problem here. I didn't have the batteries to store all the energy, the excess energy that my wind turbine or solar would produce. And I couldn't find the resource that could make zinc as well, so I can make batteries. So I'm stuck in this loop. I should just go to Silva and grab some zinc that I had there. Anyhow, I made a new type of storage called a medium silo storage. And how it works is it can store 32 pieces of a singular chunk. So let's say I insert like 32 pieces of resin, it would store it and also dispense it whenever I need it. It's a pretty cool storage. I like it actually. The problem is I need to make one for each resource that I have. And it requires carbon, which is obtained from putting green looking thing or the organic into the furnace. also pair it with a compound to make a plastic. So that's where all my focus went to. Make a storage system where I can store all my resources properly. So a lot of time flew by as I made a lot of these storage systems. Pretty happy with the outcome. So now all the stuff that I have on the ground has a proper storage. Also, similar to Silva, I had a quest where I interact with a terrarium and these snail, or I don't know how to describe these things, but these cute animals appear where I need to show them my dance moves, where they'll be happy and I can befriend them and they will enter inside the terrarium where we can stand their DNA. So I of course dance for them like a sexy macho dancer. Look at those moves, and they seem to like it, so I can befriend them now. I swear he didn't run away, he just liked it, but he maintained some distance and I continued dancing for it. Anyways, after a series of dancing, I then befriended the creature and he went inside my terrarium. I continued building the storage before I fly back to Silva to scan the new creature's DNA in my exo bionic lab thingy. I forgot the name. I then watch as the magic happened. It's just basically a scan. They don't die, I think. Will happen to them. They're just stuck in the terrarium for some reason. We should free them afterwards. I don't know how though. Anyways, I stayed in Silva for a while. I wanted to look for spiralites, so I can make some zinc and make some battery for my base at Desolo. So currently, this is my automation system here with an auto arm. So once this thing is turned on and properly placed, it will suck in the material and put it at the furnace. And it will continue doing so. But I need another auto arm to get the completed product. I guess this is the final product, but it could be better. I just don't know how yet. So I'll figure it out eventually. So yeah, he grabs the finished product. So I need to move the storage at a very specific area so it doesn't put it in a bad place. Well, anyways, if it works, it works. And I'm happy with this. Now I don't need to manually grab things from my furnace. I let the auto arm do its work while I go explore around and gather more ores. So I went back to the cave and finally found the sphalerite I was looking for. Now I can make some zinc. Then ventured towards the snow mountains again because I was looking for malachite. These malachites will produce copper and I need copper as well. Then found another of those peculiar peas or the unknown stone looking things. I'm not really sure what it is for, so I just kept it for now. Here I had the materials I needed. I gathered a bunch of zinc to my bag and also some sphalerites. I have a hard time pronouncing. Sphalerite. Whatever, the one that makes zinc. Bring it over back to Desolo so I can continue my base there. And I swear to God, my base at Desolo is way more organized than this one. Just look at how clean this looks. This base. I'm not sure why, but the moment I came back here, a lot of my storage disappeared. And I'm not even sure why. I was thinking, is there aliens in this planet? Or is there like animals that grab my stuff? So I looked around just surrounding. I'm not even sure why or why it disappeared, where it went. Maybe the wind blew it off. I was so confused. So I searched up Reddit and it seems it was a common problem that items will disappear and burrow underground if there's a cave. So the people said the best way I can locate all the things that I've lost is just dig through where I remember I last saw them underground, and they're usually stuck in a cave underground. So I did my best to dug underground and I couldn't find any signs of it. And as I dug further, I finally found one. And looking around, I saw a lot of other items that were dropped down here. Maybe it glitched down. I'm just happy that I can retrieve all the hard work I made in making or gathering those storage. So now all I need to do is bring these things back up. Wow, nice. It fell underground and deeper. Amazing. So this is a small inconvenience, and also I think I'm gonna die here because I don't have a source of oxygen. I need to dig up or else I'll die. Well, I just accepted my fate. I'm gonna die anyways. I'll just grab it back since it's just a hole straight down. So upon entering the cave again, the first thing I did was dug up a hole towards the surface. And now that I have established a way out from underground, it's time to retrieve all the items I've lost. I'll relocate all the storages to another place so they don't disappear underground again. One of my storage boxes was actually pretty deep down, as you can see here. I had to dig to the bottom. For some reason, it slid down below. I swear to God, I'm traumatized by this experience. I make sure now that I have platforms for these storages. Maybe with platforms, they won't sink. It honestly took me a while before I organized everything, because now I lock my platforms in place and place all my storage containers inside. I'm very happy with the result. It looks more organized than before, where I just place it on the ground. Anyways, I continued gathering all the ammonium that I can find on this specific part here where I can get ammonium. I would need a lot of these later to make hydrazine once I have like an atmospheric collector or something to get hydrogen. The only thing left now was to have a good electricity system where I have maybe a bigger battery pack, maybe a bigger wind turbine, and also a bigger solar panel or something so I can have enough electricity, because I still notice even with the 4 batteries, it's not enough to power the entire base. Even if I don't really have a lot of stuff going on here, it just feels lacking somehow. Anyways, now that I was done in this planet, it was now time to go to another planet. And it seems like my next target would be to go to a planet called Glacio. And it's really far from where I currently am, but good thing it doesn't matter for our shuttle fuel. I still arrive at Glacio without running into trouble of losing all the fuel. So now we just need to find a landing site. And after I chose a random spot, it's now to time and make this area our base. So first things first, I leveled the ground. I'm not gonna repeat my mistakes on the previous planets. And after that was done, I didn't place the peculiar keys at a distance from my base because I don't want the mistake like I did in Silva where I put it too close to my base. And now it seems that we have a logistics depot. Not really sure what this thing does, but at least it provides me with oxygen. Anyhow, in this planet, there's a new ore called hematite, and hematite will become iron once smelted. I continued my adventures. I needed to gather a lot of resins and a lot of compound. My very first mission would be to make the centrifuge, the soil centrifuge, so I can make unlimited numbers of these by using soil. And after a lot of gathering, I finally made the soil centrifuge. So this thing is very essential in my life right now because I hate looking around for compound and resins, and this thing is just a lifesaver. Next priority would be energy source because I don't have one at the moment. I only brought like 2 batteries and my RQQT forgot what's the acronym for that, but anyways, yeah, that one that makes like 1 units of energy, and I don't think it will be enough in the long run. I'll need some powerful tools to make me some energy. Anyways, I continued gathering soil and hematite so I can further progress my stations. Also, I've unlocked a triangular pad and got myself a research item inside. I'm not really sure if this was valuable, but I'm pretty happy to get something out of it. I then used 2 batteries to connect the electricity for the logistics to my electricity area or my base. And now, I'm not really sure if this is working or not. I have no clue what I'm doing. And as I went out exploring, I found this thing called a site pylon. I wasn't really sure what it was for, but since I could pick it up, I decided to take it home with me. And this thing seems to connect to our logistics area. So I guess it feels like this thing is like a train, I guess. A train track. I'm not sure if I can extend this further. I kept trying though, and it seems like it would work, but there's a limit to it. So right now, I just kept myself busy at base. My main goal would be to become very organized here, not like Silva. I mean, Desolo was fine, but this time, make sure everything looks pretty in the eyes. After I was done, it was now time to descend into a cave and mine the ores in this planet. I already got the hematite, so the only thing I need to get now was the titanite. Oh my god, these names are so hard to pronounce. Anyways, titanite will be turned into, I believe, titanium once you smelt it in a furnace. So down here, there was actually a lot of titanites. It will never run out. Also, there's a lot of ice chunks that I can see. I need a dynamite to explode it though, so that's one of the next goals I need to do. I mean ice chunks. Also found these things called frozen argon. And what I can do with it is slap it inside a research chamber. So I really need to make some research chamber here. And that's what I did. Currently, I have like 2 research chamber. And the values of the research item here is so high. This thing I got from the triangular pod is worth like 7.4k bytes. Like what the heck? And this rock right here, I believe was 3k bytes. So I'm going to be making a lot more areas for research chambers since there's a lot of frozen argons down in the cave. I then went up a mountain to find a lot more rocks to research. So I can already see the future of me swimming in bytes. Let's go. I love this planet. So many source of bytes. I then made a second smelter to further enhance my progress on this. And for this other platform, I'm gonna make it my storage for now. Continued exploring the cave to see if there's any other ores nearby or any new stuff that I haven't discovered yet. But it's mostly just the titanite, frozen argons, a lot of pop corals. I couldn't find any natural resources down here for some reason. I need to dig deeper, I guess. For now though, the titanite and the frozen argons are enough to give me a lot of money, I guess. For the titanite, it will be very useful later on to make more storages. Also, if you notice, I have a giant windmill near my research chambers. I got this some time ago after exploring the world. I totally forgot when or where it was. But anyways, it's very helpful. I also found another ammonium deposit just near my base, and I'm very happy to find this because ammonium, like I said, is very essential. So right now I was just gathering soil, so this is just a bonus. So with the titanium, we can now make a bigger storage called the medium silo storage. And this thing can hold a lot of materials. Just look at this thing. Only problem is you need to turn it in order to check the other items that's surrounding this thing. And it feels like kind of a hassle, so I'm just gonna make the same storage I made in Desolo. Then drilled up a hill and made a tunnel underground. My goal here was just to get some soil, so I just decided why not? Why don't I just get soil while digging through the other side of the mountain? Because I might find something interesting there. The silo actually hurt my eyes, so I just made some medium storages and organized my items. So for the silo, my plan is just to place a lot of compound or resin on it. Different silo for each course. It kind of triggers me now that it's not arranged or something. So I'm more like a person who arranges stuff now. And you can imagine day one I just put my items on the floor. Now I want it arranged now that I have more stations. So I continued the grind for a while. A bag full of canister as you can see. So I don't have to repeatedly go here and there, back and forth. I also made a silo for this, so I can just place it besides my soil centrifuge. I pretty much like my base in Glacio. I think this is gonna be my main base because I don't really want to arrange my base in Silva, and Desolo wasn't really a good place as well. This place provides so many items that gives a lot of bytes, so I like it here. And after a while, I had enough materials now to make the atmospheric condenser. So what this does, it condenses the gas in the atmosphere, and currently in Glacio we can only make something called argon. And there's a lot we can do with this argon. We can make steel from iron and carbon, I believe. And so for the other gases, we need to visit other planets. I plan to go back to Silva with the materials to make the atmospheric condenser, because in Silva we can make hydrogen plus nitrogen. So I really need to take that trip. Yeah, with the argon we got recently, I can now make some steel. I'm not really sure what I can do with steel yet, but I made steel. Let's go. I made a dedicated silo for this, but I could have just made like a canister or something. But well, I already made it, so this is fine. So notice the amount of bytes that I have right now. I'm getting rich in this planet. Like, oh my god, bytes was so hard before. Anyways, I traveled back to Silva. There was also a bunch of ores that I needed that I couldn't find in Glacio. I also went back to Desolo to grab a few things, specifically the tungsten, since you can only get tungsten here. Wanted to make a chemistry lab in Silva, and you need a tungsten to make the chemistry lab. I actually made a big oopsie here because I made an atmospheric condenser in Desolo, but there's no atmosphere in the Solo. I can't make anything. I wasted this thing and well, it's useless here now. Anyhow, I went back to Glacio, placed down a bunch of stuff I gathered from Silva, and then grab a bunch of irons. Then I will fly again to Silva. I've been flying non-stop for now just to like transfer materials or something. I need a big shuttle. Anyways, back at Silva, I now had the atmospheric condenser, which now I can make hydrogen or nitrogen. I made 2 so it would be faster because we have 2. Right now, I'm just focusing on making hydrazine, so I kept making ammonium, the soil centrifuge, because I forgot to bring some ammonium. Anyways, I made myself a new thruster that doesn't expire, but it just needs fuel called hydrazine, which we're making right now. And with the hydrazine finish, I slap it in the hydrazine thrusters and replace my rocket on my shuttle. So the discovery of the hydrazine thrusters plus hydrazine made space traveling so much easier, because I believe one hydrazine canister gives like 34% of the fuel, and that would be around, I think, 8 jumps or maybe 12. I don't know. I'm not really sure. And hydrazine isn't really hard to get. You just need to get hydrogen and then 2 ammonium, which I have a lot at Desolo and Glacio. For now, I just made use of the soil centrifuge and make ammonium because I don't have any right now at Silva. So as you can see, my shuttle can launch 16 times. It only has like 2 hydrazine and it's amazing. Like, wow, I can space travel all I want now. For now, I return back to Glacio. Wanted to improve my stations and my items now, so I can now make titanium alloy. And then continue to harvest all the ammonium I can find because I plan to go back to Silva again and convert all of these to hydrazine. Also, with the chemistry lab here, I had a plan to make graphene, which would require a graphite plus hydrazine. Graphene is used in so many other stations, so that's the plan for now. I was checking my research catalog and I was very interested to unlock a hydrazine jetpack. It only needs hydrazine as fuel, and I feel like this thing is gonna be amazing. After my shenanigans was done in Silva, I then went back to Glacio and made a bunch of titanium alloys. After I got the alloy, I made myself the hydrazine jetpack. Just like the name implies, it needs hydrazine as fuel. So I grabbed one of my rocket fuels and place it on my jetpack, and look at this. It has unlimited usage as long as you have fuel. It's amazing. Like, oh my god, I need to make another one. I of course made another one. Also made an aluminum alloy, which now enabled me to make a medium shuttle. And this time, this had like some slots to place item into or structures like storage. Anyways, to fuel my other jetpack, I grab another hydrazine from my shuttle to place in my jetpack. I'll make more, don't worry. But just look at this. It's so fast and very fun to fly around with a hydrazine jetpack. It's amazing. I swear to God, I like it so much. Anyways, I went down the cave again to gather even more research materials as well as more titanite. I then made 2 silos and attached it to my shuttle. Now I can bring materials to another planet and also bring them back here to Glacio. This is an amazing thing that happened to me. We now have a shuttle that has storage. I then continued my day gathering a lot of research materials for more bites. I'm gonna have my research chamber research something before I left the planet to other planets to process other goods, specifically the hydrazine. And so I went back to Silva so I can get more hydrogen. This time I'll be bringing some back. I only went here because I don't have any stock of hydrogen at the moment. And so I chilled for Silva for a bit and made a lot of hydrazine before I left the planet. Also, I made a lot of oxygen I can bring, so I don't need to come back to Silva again. But there are always bound to be resources that I'll be missing from Glacio, so it will be common that I will come back here again and look for these. Also, I grabbed all the resource I had in Silva and I'll be transferring them to Glacio, my main base. Another thing I wanted to do here was make the storage system. Since I'm getting like a lot of resources now from all over the planet, I would like to have a very organized resource system. I then decided that instead of making new containers, I'll just grab the ones I have in this solo containing materials already. So at the very least, I'm saving myself some time, but I'm wasting valuable hydrazines. It wasn't really that much of a problem because I got a lot of ammonium from the solo. Update on my tunnel. As you can see, I've already bored through a hole on the other side. And there's not really much going on around here, but I'm very happy to find some rocks that I can research. Saw a couple of these plants that are very hostile. They will shoot like bombs at me. So I, end them and then grab their seed thingies, which I can research for a lot of money. Here's a trick I learned. Basically, you can pick out your terraforming tool and you can grab items from very far to make it so that it's easier to like bring stuff to your base. I mean, I could have just crafted a tractor or something, but it felt pretty fast like this. Anyways, I went back to Desolo and grabbed a couple of storages. And then I went back to Glacio again. Look at my storage system. Right now, they're perfectly aligned, so I can easily pick up the materials. I can also easily organize the materials that my furnace have made so far. So, I'm pretty happy with the system, but it can do better. I need to add some auto arms. I also made a canister for both the resin and the compound. The silo was pretty hard to manage now, and it was more annoying than just picking some up from the canister storage instead of a silo. Pretty proud of the base in Glacio. I'm just happy it's more organized now than the previous planets. I then went to a planet called Calidor. Its atmosphere contained sulfur, which I need to make gunpowder, then make dynamite so I can explode exocache, get some exo chips, which are needed to craft new stations. On landing, I noticed there was basically almost nothing around my surroundings, but yeah, I didn't really need items here. I already got all the supplies I need in order to make the atmospheric condenser. So all I really need to do here is build the stations and collect a bunch of sulfur, then make my way to another planet afterwards. So right now, I've established a lot of batteries, some RQ something generator, and a soil centrifuge. So we now have a base where we can make a lot of resins and compounds. I don't really need a big base here. Like I said, I only need the sulfur. Alright, now that I have 2 atmospheric condenser, all we need to do now is wait for the magic to happen and wait for the sulfur to be produced. And after I collected enough sulfur, it was finally time to leave the planet. After getting back to Glacio, I then started crafting a bunch of explosive powders. Also already unlocked the recipe for dynamite, so all I need to do now is look for exocache. I went back to the planet Desolo because I remember finding an exocache here which I couldn't explode. So in order to make a large shuttle, a way bigger shuttle than the current shuttle we have, I need like 2 pieces of exo chips, and those are only gained from exocache, I believe. So I found it inside a cave, placed down my dynamite, and detonated my dynamite, and got my reward of 3 pieces of exo chips. I decided to continue exploring the cave, and I found yet another exocache. Good thing I brought like 2 dynamites with me. Afterwards, before I left the planet, I decided to mine more of the wolframite here. That canister I needed to bring to Glacio anyways, so I decided to fill it up before I left. I then slowly smelted everything into tungsten. Now that I had dynamites on hand, I tried exploding some ice chunks as I was curious what I can get inside. Inside was an assorted goods of ores and also some Glacio cells. I need to scan about 5 of these to complete my quest, so I need to explode even more ice chunks. In order to save on dynamite, I decided to gather everything in one area. Also, I brought home a bunch of the frozen argons to scan for money. Then went back to the ice chunks and exploded all of them in one go. Let's go. I even got myself a huge stone which I can use in my research chamber. I then finally made a launch pad for this planet. So I'll be placing the shuttle I'll be using here. It now has a proper landing place. I also added medium wind turbines on my logistics to finish a quest. So this thing will serve as energy source for our buildings as well. And crafted something called an exo request platform. Not really sure what it does, but I was curious, so I crafted it, and I don't really understand what I see here, but it's part of my quest. The next thing I made was a trade platform. This thing, I can use all the scraps I made so far from the scrappers and trade it in for some random materials that I would like to have. I then crafted this thing called an extra large scrapper. I did not have the platform to mount this with. So I unlock our recipe for an extra large platform A, and with this we can now mount the extra large recycler. So I placed down the huge chunks of metal that I've seen so far, and it started making some scrap for me. And same as the furnace, once it produces the product, it stops until you get the product. I need to install an auto arm on this thing. Then prepared for my next adventure, we're gonna go to a planet that contains lithium and methane. And that planet is Novus. We're gonna go there after I'm done preparing. As you can see, I have a large shuttle now. It can hold about 4 silos. That means I have a lot of storage slots to bring to the next planet. So yeah, I went to Novus. Landed somewhere where there's I guess it's pretty close, that gate that you can see right there. Anyhow, in this planet, it was pretty dark. There's rarely any light around here. I should really figure out how to make some lightings in the area, because I swear it's hard to see here. So first, I flattened the ground. I need to establish my base first before I explore the area. I then started making stuff to power up the place, like a wind turbine, a solar, and other stuff like printers to make me some new stations. Then went inside the caves to look for lithium. And while just digging down, I was very lucky to find lithium down here. So hey, we got some lithium. Now we can make a medium battery with the lithium we recently found. Looks like tentacles underground or roots. I continued improving my base. Just a quick touch up, adding some solar, adding some turbines. Yeah, the day and night cycle in this planet is very fast, so my solar is gonna be very useless here. Crafted about 2 medium batteries, and it should be enough to power everything up once it stores enough power. Probably need a generator because the turbine and the solar doesn't really provide that much electricity to begin with. Also, I made myself the atmospheric condenser, and with this we can now get methane. Now, thank you guys for watching my 100 days in Astroneer. We have already reached day 100, and I think we've accomplished a lot. I went to like 5 planets: Silva, Desolo, Novus, Glacio, and Calidor. So my base in Glacio, I'm pretty proud of it. My main base. Anyways, thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to click that like and subscribe button. Bye now.